new sermon series. And you saw the title of the sermon series on the opening slide on the monitors, and of course it's there also in front of your worship folder. But this sermon series is going to look at characteristics that Jesus consistently displayed during his life and during his ministry. And because Jesus displayed these characteristics, these character traits, so consistently in his ministry, people were drawn to him. And because people were drawn to Jesus, Jesus then was able to make a difference in their life. He was able to teach them and mentor them and point them towards God. My hope in offering this sermon series for the next number of Sundays is to bring forth some of these characteristics, hoping that you will do your best to try and develop those same qualities or characteristics in your own life. So that, like Jesus, you too can make a difference in the lives of other people and hopefully point them towards God. If you've done any serious study about Jesus, you know that time and time again, Jesus displayed the character trait of integrity. Time and time again, Jesus walked the high road of choosing integrity as he related to others. Now, when you see that word integrity, or when you hear that word integrity, usually you kind of associate it to being honest or being truthful. And there's some truth to that. But the definition that really has had a profound impact upon my life is that integrity is doing the right thing even when it's difficult. Yes, that's kind of what I was trying to talk to our two children about this morning. Integrity is doing the right thing when it's hard or when it's painful. That's up there on your slide. And this is something that Jesus did time and time again. He always chose to do the right thing, even though sometimes that was hard and difficult. A couple of weeks ago, a man was driving down the road when he came upon a bag of $100 bills. Apparently, this bag of $100 bills fell out of the back of a Brinks truck. Now, how that happened, I have no idea. How does $100 in this bag manage to fall out of a Brinks truck? Well, it did. And he came across it. I'm sure it was tempting for him to consider taking that bag full of $100 bills home. But that's not what he did. He turned it in. Integrity. It's doing the right thing. Sometimes it's hard and challenging. Integrity is admitting that you dropped the ball rather than trying to put the blame on someone else. Integrity is challenging that racial statement rather than ignoring it. Integrity is reporting the abuse that you just witnessed rather than turning a blind eye. Integrity is telling a potential buyer for your car that your engine has some issues rather than waiting and letting them buy the car and making that discovery on their own. Integrity is staying true to your moral compass when all your friends want you to check that moral compass in the closet. Integrity. Doing the right thing when you know it's hard. And Jesus did this time and time again. One day Jesus was in a synagogue. And as he was in the synagogue, he noticed there a man who had a demon. Jesus went down to Capernaum, to a town in Galilee. On the Sabbath, he began to teach people in the synagogue. They were amazed at his teaching because his message had authority. Now in the synagogue, there was a man possessed by a demon, an evil spirit. He cried out at the top of his voice, "Ah, what do you want with us, Jesus of Nazareth? Have you come to destroy us? I know who you are. You're the Holy One of God." "Be quiet," Jesus said sternly to the demon. "Come out of him." Then the demon threw the man down before them all and came out without injuring him. And all the people were amazed. Now they're amazed for two reasons. First, they're amazed that the man is healed. But they're also amazed because Jesus healed on the Sabbath. And in those days, healing was considered work. And in those days, you didn't work on the Sabbath. But Jesus knew that. And he healed the man anyway. Why? Because Jesus knew that the right thing here was to seize the opportunity to heal a man. Jesus did the right thing, even though he knew it would land him in hot water. And it did. We can choose to be people of integrity, just as Jesus did, day in and day out. You choose to be a person of integrity by making sure you do the right thing, even when things are difficult. And you know what happens? You start doing the right thing in difficult situations and other people notice. The man who returned the bag full of money, I tell you, a lot of people noticed his decision that day. And when people notice you, they start gravitating towards you a little bit. And as they start gravitating towards you, you then have the opportunity to what? Make a difference in their life. That's what Jesus did. He showed integrity. People noticed. They gravitated towards him. And Jesus made a difference for them. Now, another quality that Jesus consistently displayed in his life was courage. Time and time again, Jesus found himself in tough situations. And as Jesus found himself in the midst of those situations, he reacted with courage. Jesus was told, don't associate with sinful people, but Jesus courageously associated with them anyway, didn't he? Jesus was told, don't come into the city of Jerusalem. If you come into the city of Jerusalem, you're going to get killed. And Jesus courageously went into the city of Jerusalem anyway. Jesus was told, don't go into the temple. And what did Jesus do? He courageously went into the temple and set some things straight there. And of course, that one scene that we're all familiar with, where Jesus displayed a lot of courage, was in the Garden of Gethsemane. Jesus went into that garden, and he knew what was waiting. He knew it was the cross. And he kind of wrestled with that in that garden scene. Remember that scene? 3 times Jesus says, Lord, is there any other way that we can work this out rather than having to go to a cross? But in all 3 cases, Jesus came back with the final conclusion, not my will, but your will. Jesus courageously chose God's will. Courage. It's something that Jesus displayed consistently. Now, please hear this. Courage is not something you and I are born with or without. Did you hear that? Courage is not something that you and I are born with or without. But courage is like integrity. It's a matter of choice. Courage is like integrity because you choose to be courageous. People who show courage are people who have chosen to be courageous. Courage, like integrity, is a matter of choice. A couple of weeks ago, my wife Bonnie and I watched the movie 42, the Jackie Robinson story. How many of you have seen that movie? Just raise a hand a little bit if you've seen it. Okay, not too many of you have seen that movie. As your pastor, I would advise you to watch the movie 42, the Jackie Robinson story. It's a story about Jackie Robinson, the first black baseball player to play in the all-white professional baseball league. Jackie was recruited from the Negro leagues because black people had their own league. He was recruited by the Negro leagues by the owner of the Brooklyn Dodgers. And when Jackie was recruited, the owner of the Brooklyn Dodgers brought Jackie to his office. And he said, Jackie, if I bring you up and I put you on the Brooklyn Dodgers, people are not going to like this. They're not going to like having a Negro, and that's the phrase that was used in those days, on this all-white team. And some of the coaches aren't going to like that. And a lot of the ball players aren't going to like having you be on the team with them. And if I bring you up and put you on the Brooklyn Dodgers, they're going to call you names. They're going to try and break your spirit. They're going to try and get you to be angry and to just really mess up. And then the owner of the Brooklyn Dodgers looked at Jackie and said, I need you to have the guts, the courage to deal with this situation. Take a look at the scene.
You want a player who doesn't have the guts to fight back? No. I want a player who's got the guts not to fight back. You give me uniform. You give me a number on my back. I'll give you the guts.
Quick little scene. Powerful scene, though. And if you've seen the movie, you know that there are a lot of settings where he's put in where he has to have the guts, the courage to not fight back. And he doesn't. He walks as the gentleman time and time again, displaying courage. And you know what? His courage made a difference in the lives of many. It made a difference first in the lives of his fellow ball players. They saw his courage, and then what happens? They now start responding in courage as they start defending him, their fellow ball player. You see, when we choose to be courageous, other people notice. And then they begin to choose to be courageous, and wonderful things happen. Integrity, courage. Two characteristics that Jesus displayed in his life, and we can make that same choice. Now, yes, we're not going to be as consistent as Jesus was in displaying these characteristics,